There is a ghost in the modern boardroom. It's the ghost of the perfect answer. The belief that if we just had one more dashboard, one more data set, the right decision would reveal itself, clear as glass. We spend millions chasing this ghost. Yet, when the stakes are highest, when the path forks in the fog, the data falls silent, and we are left with the weight of the choice. This paralysis is where legacies are either forged or forfeited. Because leadership, true leadership, isn't about finding the right answer in a spreadsheet. It's about designing the system that produces great judgment under pressure, time, and again. It's not about being a data expert. It's about becoming a decision architect, and the quality of your blueprint will determine what you build and what stands long after you are gone. Before we build, we must understand the flaws in our own foundation. The enemy isn't a competitor or the market. It's the wiring inside our own minds. First, confirmation bias, the quiet whisper that tells us to seek evidence for what we already believe. It feels like diligence, but it's sabotage. It transforms our best people from explorers into lawyers, building a case instead of seeking the truth. A great process doesn't ask, is this right? It asks, how could we be wrong? Second, the sunk cost fallacy, the anchor of past investment that drowns future potential. You can hear its siren song in every meeting, but we've already spent so much. A disciplined process cuts the anchor. It judges every option based on its future value alone. And third, the most dangerous of all, overconfidence. The quiet certainty that we know more than we do, that we can predict more than we can. A robust decision process is an act of profound intellectual humility. It builds guardrails against our own conviction. So, how do we fight back? We don't rely on willpower. We rely on a framework, a machine for thinking. The most powerful one is a simple chain of 6 questions. Let's walk through it with a high-stakes decision: acquiring a smaller, disruptive competitor. The first link is the frame. We think the question is, should we buy this company? But that's the wrong frame. The right frame is, what is the single best way to secure leadership in this emerging market over the next decade? Suddenly, the acquisition is just one possible answer. Maybe building it ourselves is better. Maybe a strategic partnership is wiser. Get the frame wrong and you've solved the wrong problem perfectly. This is the cornerstone of your entire legacy. The second link: alternatives. A choice of one is not a choice. Your team brings you the acquisition proposal. You must force them to generate at least 2 other viable, distinct alternatives. Not a straw man, but a real contender. What does a world-class organic build look like? What does a strategic partnership with a global player look like? Without legitimate alternatives, you're not making a decision. You're ratifying a foregone conclusion. Third is information. Now, and only now, do we talk about data, but not in the abstract. For each alternative, we ask, what do we know and what do we assume? What is the one piece of information that would make us abandon our preferred path? This isn't about drowning in data, it's about hunting for the facts that matter. The fourth link is the most overlooked: values. What are we trading off? In this acquisition, are we prioritizing speed to market over cultural integration? Are we trading short-term margin for long-term strategic position? A great decision process makes these trade-offs explicit and conscious. It forces a conversation about what your organization truly stands for. This is where the soul of your company is revealed. Fifth is logic. Now we do the analysis. Does this path logically lead to our desired outcome, honoring our values? We run the models. We scrutinize the assumptions. But notice, this is step 5, not step 1. Sound logic is useless if the frame is wrong, the alternatives are weak, or the values are misaligned. And the final link: commitment. A brilliant choice without the collective will to execute is just an academic exercise. Before we say yes, we ask, do we have the resources, the focus, and the key leaders fully on board to see this through the inevitable challenges? Are we ready to commit not just the budget, but the political and emotional capital required to make it a success? This final link turns a decision on paper into a reality in the world. Frame, alternatives, information, values, logic, commitment. That is the chain. Every link must be strong. Having a process is one thing. Building a culture that embraces it is another. This begins and ends with you. You must model this behavior relentlessly. When a team brings you a single proposal, you must be the one to gently ask, "This is excellent. What are the two other alternatives you considered?" When the room is filled with conviction, you must be the voice that asks, "What if we're wrong?" Let's spend 30 minutes imagining this has failed spectacularly a year from now. What went wrong? That is a pre-mortem. It's not pessimism. It's a tool for preemptive problem solving. It builds resilience into your strategy. Over time, something remarkable happens. You shift the cultural center of gravity. You stop rewarding people for being right, and you start rewarding them for making the process rigorous. You celebrate intellectual honesty. You promote the leaders who challenge assumptions, not just the ones who deliver good news. You move from a culture of advocacy to a culture of inquiry, and that is the foundation of an organization built to last. It creates a system of clear thinking that becomes your true legacy, a way of deciding, a way of leading that will guide the generations of leaders who follow you. This work is not easy, but it is the essential work of leadership. Start with your next significant decision. Don't try to boil the ocean. Just walk your team through these 6 questions. See what new light it sheds. See what assumptions it reveals. This small act is the first step in building an engine of decision quality. An engine that will not only serve you, but will become the enduring inheritance you leave for every leader who walks your halls in the future.